Okay, today we're going to go over the issue of interior inspections of your property while a tenant is already in place in the middle of their lease. This is a subject that comes up from time to time. Some of our clients will ask to go out and do a personal inspection of the property rather than having us or one of our vendors do it. It's generally a very bad idea. Even if you're an independent landlord not using a property management company, it's still not a very good idea. It's always best to have a third party go out there, someone independent who's preferably a real estate agent or a home inspector. And I wanted to go over a couple of reasons, actually 3 reasons why that's important. The first one is confrontations with the tenant. It's very common that there's disagreements between you and the tenant. It could be over a late fee when they didn't pay their rent on time. It could be a rent increase. Could be a repair that didn't get done quickly enough for their satisfaction, even if you think it was done in a very reasonable amount of time. There's a lot of different things that can result in tension between the landlord and the tenant. So, what happens when the landlord goes out to the property is that can frequently turn into a pretty heated confrontation. So you want to avoid that as much as possible. It's always less confrontational when it's an independent third party going out there. The tenant thinks that if they can speak directly to the landlord and express how angry they are, that they'll get somewhere more than they would with, say, an independent inspector or a real estate agent that's at your property management company. So in order to avoid those confrontations, it's best for the landlord not to go out there. Sometimes this can even turn violent. If you look at our article on our knowledge base on our website, we actually have a link to an incident that happened, I think it was in February or March of 2018. There was a landlord who went out to his property and he was shot and killed. And it was over a $25 rent increase. So, you'd be amazed the small things that can trigger, very violent confrontations. So, violence is rare, but heated confrontations aren't. Those happen pretty frequently. So that's why, it's best to have an independent person do the inspections. The other issue there is that you can't make sure that the tenant isn't going to be there. So when it comes to the confrontation issue, that's obvious. But a less obvious problem with that is that anything that you say to the tenant could lead to you getting in some sort of trouble under landlord-tenant law, fair housing law. There's a lot of different things that come into play there. So if you're at the property and you were to say something that to you doesn't seem like a big deal, but to an attorney, a landlord-tenant attorney, is something that they would tell you not to say, then that can lead to issues. So it's very important that the person who's inspecting the house is someone who's very familiar with landlord-tenant law, familiar with fair housing. So you really need to have a licensed real estate agent or a home inspector take care of that for you. The third thing that comes up, and this happens pretty frequently, not just for inspections, but also when we're renting houses out, when we've got them listed, when a tenant's already in the property, we get allegations that somebody stole something. So, if the tenant's not there while someone goes in to inspect the property, and then they come back after the inspection's done, they'll say, oh, my jewelry was stolen, or my TV, or whatever the case may be. And then, obviously they have to have evidence of that for it to lead to any sort of criminal issue. But the problem is it creates, a big mess. Basically, when they make that claim, they might call the police, make some allegations against you, then you've got to deal with that. It's best to have, a company like us or an inspection company who's insured, and they have people, they have attorneys and everybody to take care of that, so that you're not dealing with those sorts of hassles. So those are the 3 biggest reasons. We always recommend that all landlords, whether they have a property manager or not, make sure they have an independent third party that goes out and does those inspections for them. And for our clients and for most reputable property management companies, that's actually policy. We don't our management agreements make it pretty clear that only our representatives, either our staff members or our vendors, are able to go inspect the property while a tenant is in place. So that's for our protection, and also most importantly for your protection. So if you have any questions about this, you can send us an email or go to our knowledge base, take a look at the article. It's got some more in-depth information. But if you have any concerns about it, just send us an email, give us a call. We'll be happy to talk to you about it.